Good morning. A big focus on neutral bets yesterday, and we didn't ignore the usual trades. We got the big boys performing admirably yesterday, Manchester City and Arsenal, doing us a solid by conceding the first goal. So let's look at the neutral plays first. Is there any pattern? And then we'll look at the traditional plays yesterday. All of that profit, very nice. So this tended to be the pattern yesterday, about a £15 profit with this technique. So we're looking at a match where we expect overs. You're about, I think in this case, probably half an hour into the match at 0-0, or 15 minutes is my ideal. Back over 2.5 goals if you can get over evens as soon as the first goal comes. So the bet was placed 1928. First goal came 1935. Very lucky indeed. And you're out with 15 quid, which tends to be the standard for a £40 stake when you're backing over 2.5 goals after 15 minutes in matches where you think there's going to be goals today. You could get those matches by the odds or by the competition. Under 21s should be renowned for goals, shouldn't they? So you see this a lot, about £14 to £19. It's all a matter of how do we cover the losses? Do we take a full hit? Do we take the equivalent as loss? Do we aim for a £15 profit, or do we take the £15 loss, whichever comes first? That keeps liability low. Plenty to think about just for this getting out area. Lille and Toulouse. So let's have a look at that match. Again, French Ligue 1 had me interested in goals. Lille in the Champions League, odds on at home, ticking all the boxes. And as you can see, another £14. So it's exactly as we expect from that £40 stake. You can look at the Lille match yesterday and see how it unfurled. We've got a 1.75 favourite at home in a league which can produce goals. Now, the next step, I think, is to make sure our candidates are strong. None of this has been done with any research on overs. There we go. That is what yielded you the £14 profit. Only one goal before half time. That's with the Lille match. This is Almeria and Burgos. So again, it's in a league, Spanish Liga 2, which I quite fancy. So what did we do here? 17:49. Sounds like it was a 5:30 kickoff. Indeed it was. So 17:49, that's about 15 minutes into the match, isn't it? Backing over 2.5 goals at 2.12 in a match that you fancy. 17:49, the bet was placed. 18:01, the goal was scored. Cash out at 1.64 for yet another. Well, this is 2.5 goals, sorry, this one. So I didn't go 1.5 goals in this instance, 2.5 goals. Get out with the first goal. Bang. Not quite your 14 quid, but still, you're not losing and you're gaining slightly there. Against Burgos, the red card came late. Again, what do we see? What's the pattern? 1.67 favourite at home. Similar to the last match, the expectation is for goals. None come after 15 minutes. That's your trigger point to potentially get involved first. Of course, you can delay and enter as late as you dare. Just that single goal producing the green screen, thankfully. Once you've got a green screen, red cards don't matter anymore, do they? That's the advantage of neutral bets and advantage of overs. This was Kortrijk and Ghent, under 3.5 goals as insurance. So I'm not sure of the scenario behind this one, but let's have a look. I was trying all sorts of things yesterday. I think the over 2.5 goals, better yet, over 1.5 goals will click. It's just the exit point we need to get right. The loss we need to get right. That's something got to work on. Kortrijk and Ghent, 1.62 favourite. If Kortrijk score first, it's a good indication that overs could come in. But no, Ghent scored first. 2 goals from Nacho. And another reminder to you, playing neutrally saves you some heartache, particularly in leagues that are not the elite. This is Wattens and Blue Weiss Linz. yet again, based on the league, it's the Austrian Bundesliga, for me, renowned for goals. Enter the play at 3.3, which was rather good at 4.20. At 5.03, we get a goal and we're out with our traditional £14.52, it seems. That team seems to be the standard exit point. So at least we've got some realistic idea of our possible profit in these matches. Now this is probably be a volume trading angle, wouldn't it? And here we go, Austrian Bundesliga. If I can get back. Last Linz against Tyrol, 1-1. So the match kicked off 4 o'clock. And we've probably got a 15-minute delay. Yes, we did. And you've got your first goal, an own goal. And had you been doing overs traditionally and not cashed out, you've been in a whole heap of bother. But you get the first goal, get out. It doesn't even have to be overs, but it is overs, if you understand. £14.52 just for that single goal. Austria Vienna, again, choosing the correct league, the Austrian Bundesliga. I expected goals. Enter the match 16:19, so that's probably 4 o'clock kickoff. So that's another 15 minutes in the bag. 2.04 to back overs. We get a goal at 16:32. So we were rather lucky yesterday to get these first half goals. That's what we're after for this particular idea. And yet again, you've got the pattern. Odds on favourite at home. That could be the key, perhaps. And we take a penalty. I'll take anything. Get the overs moving. It looked to be a bit of a sloppy match, didn't it? Penalty and 2 own goals winning the match there. But we get our overs in. Manchester City, well, come from behind. Not much value to be had in the half-time, in the match odds market. The value was in the half-time plays. If you do a 1-1, 2-1, any unquoted in the half-time score market for Man City, you'd have got a better return. But this was the price, 1.79 at 0-1 down. Not much value, but confident, you'd suspect. Over 2.5 goals, Bolton and Shrewsbury. Now, yet again, you'll see a pattern emerging. An odds-on favourite at home. So maybe that's something we need to look at. Is that going to produce us more consistent goals if they're playing at home rather than away? This should have been a profitable trade as well. Shrews taking a 2-0 lead. That's when we backed Bolton at 7s and we laid Shrews as well. Bolton did get back. You could have made a profit there. And that 2-2 could be out with a nice green screen. Backing them at 7s for a 1.3 shot. Do that every day of the week. But the neutral play. This is when the underdog scores the first 2 goals. Who cares? You're guaranteed 33 quid. So again, we've got a 3 o'clock kickoff. 3.19 entry point, 2.2 evens. Cash out with the first goal at 15.56. So it took a little while to arrive. But once it did arrive, that was 2 goals in. I cashed out there. That's the Bolton match odds. I did actually make a £34 green screen, and I should have stayed with that, but I did try to bump up the profit to 56 quid for Bolton, given the fact they scored 2 second-half goals. Dortmund and Union Berlin, another over 2.5 goal. And what I did in this particular instance, I didn't cash out with the first goal. Now, I wonder if you'll understand why. Let's have a look. Didn't cash out at the first goal. Why? Evens favourite. Just scored 7 goals against Celtic. Conceding the first goal. Now that's my usual exit point, would be this goal here. But we're looking for a response from Dortmund. And, well, because it's neutral, doesn't matter who scores. We get that second goal when we were expecting Dortmund to have scored it. You make a nice £37 green screen. Very good stuff. Enter the match, 2.48, get out at 3.15. Nice and quick. So I think we're seeing a pattern emerge. Odds on favourites at home, perhaps. That could be an angle. Bochum and the Wolf. We know the Bundesliga's full of goals. Enter 2.49, 2.30 kickoff. Cash out 2.52. How about that for efficient? And yet again, it's near the 14 quid mark, isn't it? Now, I haven't posted any losses here. We had losses here naturally yesterday, and I didn't manage the losses. So they were full liability loss, £40. Now, there must be a way to manage. So that's a problem I hope I can yield over to you. Use the hive mind. Some members yesterday talked about backing 0-0 pre-match, but then you've got to think the other troubling scorelines for a 2.5 goal play would be 1-0, 0-1, 1-1, 2-0, 0-2. Not so much 2-0, 0-2, all dependent on when the goals came, but 1-0 and 0-1 is flirting with disaster for over 2.5 goals. So that was Racing Ferrol and Elche. Again, a reputation for goals for Elche. If you can just do a little due diligence, you don't have to go all in. If we can get to it. Come on, behave. Thank you. Again, a single goal. Note, a single goal. I was expecting, because I looked at Elche and I said to myself, well, take that 1-0, those 1-0s away. They do have some goals in the locker. Racing Ferrol conceded 3, conceded 4 in the last match. So the inference was that Elche would be competitive. So yet again, we go through the roster. Over 1.5 goals at this stage. This is the beginning of the second half. It must have been. So you've got two options. You can wait for 0-0 at half-time and then back over 1.5 goals. Oh, sorry, this was 28 minutes. So I must have done the over 2.5 goal technique. But perhaps using the 1.5 goal market. I got there somehow at 1.97, which I thought was huge. That's 20 minutes into the match. Normally that will sound alarm bells. Evens 20 minutes in at 0-0. So a bit lucky to get out there with that usual 16. So this would normally be over 2.5 goal play after 15, but the odds were so attractive. You just need that single goal. Portsmouth and Oxford again. Over 1.5 goals, 117. So that looked like that was the second half play, 12:30. Beginning of the second half must have been 0-0. I would suggest Pompey and Oxford. Must have been 0-0 at half-time. Portsmouth's in-play stats were excellent for a newly promoted side. So they thoroughly deserved, or they should have got the win. 58th minute goal. So you need the goal to come early. What are you going to do if that goal doesn't come early enough? You're straight out with that one. So we've got to think about this negative element. Elversberg and Kaiserslautern, well, entered at 102, out at 129. It wasn't offering us much at all. So you've got to take the green rather than the liability hit. This was over 1.5 goals. Umraniyespor and Bandamirspor. We're heading off to the lower tiers in Turkey. Umraniyespor and Bandamirspor. Turkish one league, just the inference that there would be goals in that league. It's dangerous when you don't research, making assumptions. Got a goal disallowed there. So how did I make my profits? 84th and 93rd minute goals. I think I just let that one run. So I didn't manage that one at all. That's why you see the full liability there. But you see a very decent profit, 2.7, entering at 12.43. So got away with that one. £14 again. That's your standard. In at 8.05, out at 8.21. And over 2.5 goals for Tokyo Tosu was a winner. But I think I played 1.5 goals as well in this match, experimenting. And that came in. So I think what happened here, we've got a 1-1 and had over 2.5 goals in with enough time to suggest a third. So let's have a look. Let's see if the patterns emerge. Indeed, 0-0 at half-time. So your ideal is over 1.5 goals, isn't it? So we got there again without cashing out. So that's an option if you take a full hit. I don't know what the strike rate would be if you let them ride and see if you can get that second goal. This was Nara and Omiya. This looks like it was an insurance play. No, I backed over 1.5 goals. That didn't come in. but insurance on the 0.5 goal. So there is an option if you want peace of mind. Back over 2.5 goals with £40 stake. Lay over 1.5 goals with a £40 backer stake. Now, the only troubling scorelines there are going to be the ones in between 1.5 goals and 2.5 goals. So that would be the likes of 2-0, 1-1, and 0-2. Those would be the troubling scorelines. And 1-0s, of course, are very troubling scorelines as well for 2.5 goals. But if it's 0-0 for a while, this will cover that. And hopefully you'll be in a scenario where you get the goal at a good enough time that you can either manage your position or cash out. So I hope you see some patterns emerging. From a traditional trading perspective, we had plenty of opportunities yesterday. Let's all get them in league order. And then we'll have a look onto today. Quick trawl through yesterday. Arsenal come from behind, easy as you like. Man City come from behind. We did lay over 1.5 goals, back Bournemouth +1. They did get a goal, but alas, it didn't stick. We got out with an insurance break-even at the end there. This was a redemption match for West Ham, priced at odds on after having such a poor run. Got to win against a newly promoted side, and boy, did they. Nice and easy. No real trading angle, unless you were going for overs, but we got a first goal in the first minute, so no chance of that with a 15-minute delay. Everton and Newcastle, well, this is the problem you face with Everton. They can score 2 goals regularly, but then they put in a dour 0-0 defensive performance. First half goals over 2.5 goals by Leverkusen. I'll put that up for you in the live stream. 1.79. Bear in mind, a goal had already been scored in the 4th minute. 1.79 for there to be 2 goals at least to be scored in the first half, with one already scored with a side with that reputation. Unbelievable, Jeff. A disgraceful result, really, for Bayer. They should have won this quite comfortably, but due deference to the newly promoted side. And you saw the general trend towards overs in the Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2. Similar story, Freiburg and Werder Bremen, depending on the goal. Was it an over 2.5 goal play? Possibly, yes. This would have been, I think, this is the choice you make. Get involved first half after 15 minutes and it's quiet. Then you start panicking. Other alternative route, back over 1.5 goals at the beginning of the second half. 75th minute will get you probably a break even or just a marginal profit. So in that respect, you're getting a lot of time for your money with that kind of a play. But over 2.5 goals would have been dead in the water. This I would have done overs all day long. It's just one of those things. You don't get a goal before half-time. This will probably be the only week all season Werder Bremen don't get a goal before half-time. Just our luck. Serie A, Udinese, again, another profitable overs play, despite there being only 1 goal. So let's see. This would be over 1.5 goal play. Again, 75th minute. You'd have got something like a break-even or a marginal gain, just for that single goal. So that's the advantage of over 1.5 goals. If you're getting a big break to that second goal, then over 1.5 goals has your back. Inter Milan Torino, obvious overs, all about the entry point, isn't it? And again, look at the relationship between the odds-on favourite at home and the scoreline. That could be an avenue today. Look at that, 2-1, 3-2. So maybe that's a trick. Odds on at home. Red card took all the value out of the market. But if you're doing your 15 minutes and then backing over 2.5 goals, that red card's going to give you a profit. Unbelievable. Because it treats the market, treats the red card as if it was a goal. PSV coming from behind. Utrecht, I think, did they come from behind? But obvious over 2.5 goal plays, these ones. Red card involved with this one. That's what ignited the result there. Looking at La Liga, well, obvious plays, Real Madrid. You're not going to go over 2.5 goals, really. They're flirting with being good defensively. But again, 14 minutes in, we've just missed our 15-minute entry point. So that would probably have negated this as a trade, wouldn't it? Espanyol Mallorca. Well, it's a strange over 2.5 goal play, that one, because Mallorca have a reputation for unders, but it came in. So those were the main matches yesterday. Plenty of other talking points as well throughout, but it was a strong focus on neutral bets because you can see the advantage of a neutral play. The scoreline or the scorer doesn't matter. It's the getting the goal in the bag. On to today, and a live stream today, probably 2 o'clock start. Aston Villa, Man United. Got to favour Aston Villa here, but you just don't know which Manchester United turns up. They're totally and utterly unreadable from a trader's perspective, which makes them a very bad trading vehicle. Chelsea, on the other hand, chock full of goals galore. We're highly likely to see them get past Nottingham Forest eventually, I would say. Nuno Espirito Santo's got his Forest side hard to beat. Brighton and Spuds, if this ends 0-0, I'll give up the ghost. We're expecting a humdinger of a match unless these two cancel each other out. The strong reputation for goals. Tottenham are riding high. Really solid at the moment under Ange. Leipzig and Heidenheim. We should be expecting 2 or more goals from Leipzig. But we will see. Heidenheim have been putting in some good performances. Bayern Munich and Frankfurt. 1.53. It's very lukewarm, isn't it? Probably because this is post-Champions League, pre-international duty. And it's going to affect these bigger sides a lot more, isn't it? Stuttgart and the mighty Hoff. Expecting at least a goal before half-time. So that's certainly going to be on my roster for a 15-minute play. We're expecting goals before half-time in a Hoffenheim match. Shamrock Rovers, odds on at home. So what I will do, use something like Flash Score today. We'll monitor the odds on favourites at home, short price, because that seemed to yield a lot of goals yesterday. So this is something you can use. Flash Score is a sister site to Soccer 24. If you're using Soccer 24 to collect odds on favourites, perhaps, you can use this one to collect home favourites. And we'll see whether there's a strong relationship between strong home favourites and the goal tally. Look at that already. Chelsea. So as you can see, I'm working on a number of ideas. We just need to, as I keep repeating, it's the exit point that we need to sort out. So as you can see, we've got a lot of odds on favourite candidates at home. We're talking shorties, 1.94, a bit high. We're talking obvious, 1.7 or lower. So plenty of them about to give us that indicator. The reason I say home, you've got more of a chance of performing better than away, where you could just fall foul despite being an odds-on favourite. Spanish La Liga, no odds-ons at home. So this will be a nice quick angle. And then we can look at the end of today to see whether that has, the short odds has translated into the expected comfortable home win by 2 goals or more. So plenty of ideas. Anderlecht, Antwerp, Zulte Waregem in the Challenger Pro League. Again, when you're dealing with overs, you can go to these lesser-known leagues as long as they've got a reputation for goals, goals, goals. 1.29 Hajduk split. So we're going to get a list of odds-ons at home. And the great thing, Flash Score will save that for us that we can look at afterwards. So 1.7 or lower, I'm going to be disciplined. Stay with those. And we'll see whether that translates into goals. Don't forget your leagues as well. This league has been brilliant for goals. Danish Super League and the Danish First Division has been excellent for goals. We've got some big guns out today. Copenhagen, Brøndby, Midtjylland. This is a derby-style match. It's going to be very tough to pick a winner there. But it's a great league, Danish league. Bristol City, well, they're odds on at home, but they're not quite there. I don't know if we can play the women's football, because it could provide us with a profitable play or two. That's something to look at during the live stream. Arsenal, Everton, 1.10. We're surely expecting goals in the ladies' game, aren't we? Hey, HJK, 1.45 at home. So it'll be interesting to see, because you saw that pattern, didn't you? A lot of the odds on at home, giving us that goal before half-time, getting us usually in with a profitable over 2.5 goal play. So I would work my way down like that with all of the 1.7 and lower at home. In experimental mode again today, we're monitoring these singularly and seeing whether they produce the goals we want. So I'll continue with that afterwards, after the video. Juve and Cagliari, 1.4 again, bang, off you go, ding. Bologna and Parma, no chance against Liverpool really, but got a chance against newly promoted Parma in another match I would target for 2.5 goals. Lazio at home, fit in the category, 1.6, been in excellent form as well. It would be comfortable favourites, I think, today. Roma, very tough to read. Fiorentina and AC Milan, due deference to the Viola at AC Milan, a 2.15, suggesting a tough afternoon for the away side. Eredivisie, known for goals. AZ Alkmaar, Ajax are out and about. Feyenoord, Twente, that could be a derby-style match. It could cancel each other out. And Heracles against Go Ahead Eagles, we might see overs in that as well. Certainly the league for overs, isn't it? Barcelona, been in superb form, but a very strange 2-4 defeat to Osasuna recently. It's post-Champions League pre-international break for Barca. That could be the Achilles heel for them. Look at this, Atletico Madrid not fancied at all today against Real Sociedad away from home. So plenty going on. Live chat webinar at 2 p.m. Again, we've got our odds on there. So it looks a decent coupon. As ever, full comprehensive research is available for members. And if you want a quick look at the 2.5 goals, I'll put them at the base of each bit of research. So Nottingham Forest generally seen fewer than 3 goals. Chelsea's attacking form could push. So this is an attack v defence, Chelsea and Forest, isn't it? Live chat webinar at 2 p.m. then today. I hope to see you at YouTube. I'll post all the usual links. And we'll continue our look at over 2.5 goals and over 1.5 goals. And try to single out one of these matches today. If it's going against us, when do we get out? So do a bit of brainstorming. Some ideas, get out at half time. Second idea, if you're aiming for a £15 profit in the first half, get out at the first sign of a £15 loss, perhaps, in the first half. That way you've got your risk and reward is exactly the same. You can call it a stop loss. And that's another idea for overs as well, is the use of a stop loss. I've never used this stop loss at Fairbot, but this could be something where you could trigger it to get out at a predetermined time. So have a great day. I'll see you for a live chat webinar, 2 p.m. Likely we'll be going round the houses today, some of the lesser leagues, but we've got a lot of quality football today, and we've got a lot of 2.5 goal matches to think about. Have a great day, and I'll see you, members of footballtradingprofits.com, at 2 p.m. for a live stream.